Now, this is going to stretch mine and Luke's memories a bit, I think.
Okay. Oh dear.
So this might be.
Luckily, we've got Gary with us.
Yeah, to fluff his way through
it. The bridge. When did it actually wrap up? The bridge.
About a week ago, Friday. Yeah.
If you'd like a sort of full recap of every episode of The Bridge, go to the Custard TV, because I don't think we've promoted this enough, but Sarah's reviews on the website have been really, really good. But we'll try our best to be as sort of
let me go in for. So at the end of episode 5, you get this big scene where they seem to have made a connection between the deaths, which they hadn't before, and it all reverted back to a undercover police officer. Henrik was his handler, and other key characters were involved with.
Well, so he wasn't the police officer.
Was he not
a informant?
Oh, police informant. Sorry. I thought he was an officer. Sorry, he was an informant. What you then learn is that he died in very suspicious circumstances, and that there were a number of people who could have helped him but didn't, one of which is Henrik. And they start to piece together the kind of motive that somebody has had, that they're trying to get rid of and make reparations for this guy's death by sort of offing people who are close to those that let him down.
So, like, the journalist was writing a piece on him, and that was sort of how he was uncovered. Like, Lillian was part of the team who was his handler. There was the head of justice whose horse got gassed. But obviously, the crime boss who lost his daughter was the one that he was informing on, and Henrik himself was.
And I think
what we should say is they weren't going for the people that had directly hurt this guy.
Gary just said
that. They were going for their loved ones. Did he just say that? Where was I here? I think call an ambulance. I might have had a blackout.
You're going to have one in a minute if you keep going on. So the part of the investigation is slightly protecting those who were directly involved. So there is a bit more focus on Saga's protection and those that are around it.
She's the closest to Henrik.
Yeah, being the closest to Henrik, they think. And then the sort of big side plot at the beginning of these episodes is Saga's continuance to try and find Henrik's children. And we get a big reveal of that when it's found that Astrid, the older daughter, is actually living in that funny commune. And she's the mysterious multiple personality girl that had been sort of going out with the guy, the son of the two that were placed there because they were on the run from their abusive husband/father. So because the fact that the plot changes, then obviously some of the perspective changes on a lot of the characters. So this kind of nice, friendly guy who'd been helping this couple out, getting them integrated in his community.
At no point was he a nice, friendly guy, really.
Yeah, he'd done a lot for them.
It was a nutcase.
I think up to episode 4...
Gary, don't be sticking up for the sociopaths.
All right, but up to that point, had he done anything that might have led you to believe that he was hiding...
right from the word go, he was a weirdo.
Basically wanted to have them... He wanted a sort of ready-built family and was emotionally manipulating these women who were in marriages that were failing or abusive to get them to sort of fall in love with him and sort of have their children as his. And he did that with Henrik's family, and then he did it again with the taxi driver's family. Whether he did that again in the interim, we don't know, but that seemed to be his ammo. And he had this sort of commune where it was off the grid, so people would find it harder to sort of to hunt him down and things like that. So he was very much sort of sociopathic.
In that case.
Okay. And there's quite a dramatic scene where Henrik and the police make it up to the flat. The guy's kind of now gone full psycho. I will agree with that. He's now holed up in the flat with a shotgun and is threatening to kill Astrid rather than, sort of let her go. In quite a sort of good action scene, they sort of gas the place and there's all smoke. He's shooting randomly, but thankfully manages to get shot but not killed before he manages to kill Astrid. And there's quite a nice scene where she comes out and Henrik's standing there and she sort of comes out of the smoke that I thought was quite a nice bit, and is reunited. Now, that happens in like episode 6 or 7, so you're thinking, okay, where are we going from here? Start of 7, yeah. The wheelchair that Henrik had been encountering at the support group that he'd been at, the AA group. And effectively what happens is that turns out to, of course, be the son of the main sort of character that links all these murders.
Tommy,
yes, I think so. You know, there's a wonderful scene early on where Henrik knows there's something wrong and confronts him and pushes him out of his wheelchair, thinking that, he can walk, it's all a lie, and he doesn't. He flops all over the floor, and Henrik has to apologise, because the big reveal in the end is that he is the killer.
Well, initially we think the killer is the Asian assistant of the...
Margaret's husband.
Well done. It turns out she was Tommy's girlfriend and was sort of avenging him.
Is that news to you? Gary went, like it
I
was
think
news
it
to
is.
me.
I don't think I picked up on that fact. I don't think
Are
I
you
got
joking?
that. Well, no, it's a long show. I got most of it.
Oh my god.
We think that's the end. You know, Henrik's got Astrid back. They've got the killer. We've still got half an hour to go. And then we've got another bit where Saga goes back to prison, meets up with that girl who attacked her in the first episode, and it turns out, because we were questioning the motives, and we said we didn't know why it was that girl, it turned out she'd been paid off by Stephanie, or threatened by Stephanie, that I will kill your daughter if you don't do this, if you don't try and finish off Saga, who at that point is the closest to Henrik. But then it turns out that I think his name is Kevin in the wheelchair.
Yep.
Yes.
He is the other. They're like working together, and he doesn't need the wheelchair anymore. And he tries to kill Astrid, who is so messed up already. You feel very sorry for her. I felt that sort of second ending spoiled it a little bit. I understand why they did it, but it felt a little cheap. The sort of guy in the wheelchair.
I quite liked it.
No, I have to side with Luke a little bit. I quite liked it. I think it was good drama.
The other thing I didn't quite like about the last episode was the fact that I've forgotten his name now. The other police officer, the sort of misogynistic one who was in...
The man from Borgen and...
had been sort of leaking information to the press and trying to undermine Lillian, and he got his comeuppance, because I thought throughout the series he sort of warmed to Saga and became quite protective.
Softened a bit,
and he softened, and I didn't think he needed like a comeuppance as was, and I didn't like that personally.
No, I think really that was a poor payoff for what was also a bit of a poor plot, because they never really got hampered by the fact that information was out there. It never really stopped them doing anything by the fact that they were leaking information. Overall, how do we feel this compares to the other series?
Best series since series 1.
Yeah, agreed.
Done.
I liked... Okay. Can we just talk about that final scene where Saga sort of tries... Because she's been seeing this therapist, and she's been trying to sort of shake, what if I wasn't a police officer? And the final scene is her throwing her police badge right in the sort of where it started. And then someone calls her, and she just says Saga Norren. Doesn't the Malmo City Peak bit?
That's right.
Which I really liked. I thought that was a really sort of subtle character thing, and it is exactly how it
found the bits with her and the therapist a little trying and a little long.
Oh no, I didn't.
Well,
they weren't long at all.
I don't know. I didn't know if I needed it. It was a little bit of the part that I didn't need. I mean, I understood why she had to go to therapy, and but
there was like the bit where she said try and do something that's like against the law, but doing it for the right reasons, and she got, because obviously Hans' skeleton is sort of exhumed by the killer.
It was a way of her talking about Martin again. It was a way of her talking about Hans again.
Looking at the character as a whole, this being the last series, looking at Saga Norren.
Yeah, I realise they're doing it's a redemption kind of thing, but I was just personal. I didn't feel anything particularly tame with that.
I felt like I had a feeling that Gary, you weren't as into it this year at all.
No, I think I watched 7, 8, 9, and 10 in one sitting. Yeah,
there are only 8 episodes.
Oh, sorry. Then 6, 7, and 8. Sorry, the last. I
no wonder you thought it was long. Did you watch one twice?
I watched 6, 7, and 8 back to back.
Yeah.
And I think I did enjoy it more like that. I think I still improve. I still think Series 1 is superior. I still think that the shock of that body on the first on the bridge, that kind of like tension between the state police, the Swedish and the Danish police was better. I don't think Henrik was as good a balance for Saga as Martin was.
It's different.
I got to really like him in the end, though, I have to say.
Yeah, sure. He stood out on his own. I think there were a couple of times
did the
where
guy
I
in
thought,
the wheelchair, actually, isn't it?
And I did enjoy the series, and I'm glad I saw it through. I'd just say, still not above Series 1 for me.
Well, that's what we all said, though. We said it's the best series since Series 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Bridge, can we still watch all of it, or is it disappeared now?
No, I think you've only got about the last 5 episodes or 4 episodes up on iPlayer.